Welcome to the Tokenized Economy. Here is today's explainer on MiCA as a catalyst for institutional adoption. We're going to explore a massive shift happening right now in the financial world, how this one piece of regulation is kicking things into high gear. So if you were with us last time, you know we broke down the blueprint for MiCA, Europe's big crypto asset framework. But, a blueprint is just that. It's paper. Today, we're talking about the real-world construction. We're moving from the plan to the actual implementation and what it really means for the market. And that really brings us to the big question, right? After all the rules are finally set in stone, what actually happens? How does the market, and maybe more importantly, how does the big money respond? So here's our game plan. We'll start with that move from just having rules to actually acting on them. Then we'll look at the big shift MiCA created. After that, we'll take a little tour across Europe to see who's doing what. And finally, we'll zoom out to see the bigger picture and figure out what comes next. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, from regulation to execution. And really, this all boils down to one simple idea about why clarity is just everything. You have to understand something fundamental about institutional capital. These big players, they don't like to go first. They don't jump into the unknown. They wait. They only make their move once the rules of the game are crystal clear. And that is exactly what MiCA brings to the table. It provides that clarity. And because of that, we're seeing the result in real time. Institutional involvement isn't just starting, it's accelerating, fast, all across Europe. The floodgates are creaking open. Okay, so let's dig into that shift a little more. This is all about moving from a world of confusion and ambiguity to a really clear pathway forward. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Before MiCA, you had all this uncertainty. Nobody knew the rules, activity was scattered all over the place, and trying to scale anything was a nightmare. But now we have defined rules, clear paths to get a license, and the real game changer. You can operate across borders. So, what this all really boils down to is a massive shift in mindset. The market is moving out of the sandbox, out of this phase of cautious little experiments and pilots, and into full-blown execution. This is where the real capital, this serious money, starts getting deployed. Okay, so that's the theory. But where is this actually happening? Let's get into the hard evidence. We're going to look at adoption across Europe and see this stuff in action. And our first stop is Germany. Germany has really stepped up as the place that's building the foundational, heavy-duty infrastructure that all institutions are going to need. And we're not talking about small players here. You've got giants like Deutsche Bank building out their digital asset custody services, which is basically the super secure vault you need. You've got Commerzbank pouring money into tokenization platforms. And the key thing is, they're both doing this inside the new regulated system. They are literally building the financial plumbing for this new tokenized world. Okay, let's hop over to France now, because they're leading the charge in a different, but just as crucial area, tokenized issuance. This is all about taking real-world stuff like bonds and putting them on the blockchain. And the name you have to know here is Société Générale, specifically their offshoot SG Forge. I mean, these guys have been absolute pioneers. They're issuing tokenized bonds, they're creating new kinds of on-chain financial tools. They're weaving blockchain deep into their capital markets business. They're not just playing around anymore. They are producing. Now, you might be asking, hey, what about the UK? Great question. Obviously, they aren't directly under MiCA, but we are seeing an almost identical story play out there. They're on their own parallel track. And again, it's the household names making the moves. You've got HSBC looking into tokenized deposits. Think about that. Digital cash on a blockchain. That could totally change payments. At the same time, Barclays is building out its own infrastructure. Both of them are watching these global trends very closely and making sure they're not left behind. So, we've seen action in these major countries. But how does it all connect? What's the layer that ties it all together? Well, that's the pan-European layer, and it's all about providing regulated access for everyone. A perfect example of this is Clearbank getting its MiCA license. Now, this is a huge deal. Why? Because it creates a regulated bridge for other companies to plug into the digital asset world. It connects the new stuff with the old-school banking system, which lets companies scale across all of Europe. It's an absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. Okay, so we've looked at Germany, France, the UK, and this connective layer. Let's take a step back now and put it all together. Let's look at the bigger picture. So when you look at all these examples, what's the common thread? Well, a really clear pattern emerges. 1. Custody is becoming a serious institutional-grade business. 2. More and more real assets are being tokenized. 3. All the new infrastructure is being built within the rules, not trying to get around them. And 4. We've decisively moved from just dipping a toe in the water to diving in headfirst. And this is where you see the real power of MiCA. It isn't just sitting back and allowing this to happen, it's actively orchestrating it. It gives everyone a single rulebook to play from, it sets consistent standards so there are no surprises, and it delivers that all-important ability to operate across borders. When you zoom out and look at the whole world, the difference in strategy is pretty stark. You could say Europe has built a regulatory superhighway. It's paved, the lines are painted, and everyone knows the speed limit. The United States, on the other hand, is kind of still building the road as the cars are driving on it. And those two different approaches are absolutely going to affect where the money flows. Which brings us to our final section. So what's next? Given everything we've seen, what's the outlook for how and where capital is going to move around the globe? Look, Europe's head start here isn't a small thing. It has some major implications. It means the infrastructure there is going to mature faster. It means big institutions can get set up and running quicker. And it means there are much clearer paths for them to allocate serious capital. That clarity is like a giant magnet for innovation and investment. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Regulation isn't just about saying what you can and can't do. It's so much bigger than that. It defines who gets to participate in the market, it dictates how fast that market evolves, and ultimately it determines where the capital flows. And we are seeing MiCA prove that point right now. Thanks so much for joining us. We would love to hear what you think. Is MiCA going to give Europe a long-term advantage here? Or will the rest of the world catch up pretty quickly? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, make sure you subscribe for more explainers on the tokenized economy. We'll see you on the next one.